so smooth.
It is so smooth.
Ah.
Hi.
Get to there and see how you're doing.
Where'd you find that? In the water. Oh, nice job. Yeah. Nice save.
Baby turtle.
Okay. You want me to bury you?
Yes.
Okay. I'll turn you into a mermaid.
No.
Are you sure? Okay. Bear with us as we learn how to use our new GoPro. So, how do you feel being a buff merman?
Weird.
Weird? Look at the abs, the tail.
You look like a dead person.
He's a buff merman.
A buff merman. Yeah, see
Yeah.
the abs and the tail.
Oh. Buff. Oh, he's a dead buff merman now.
Well, the boardwalk's deserted and nobody's down by the shore. And the Ferris wheel isn't spinning around anymore. The heat waves and the crowds are all old news. But I've still got some sand in my shoes. Sand in my shoes.
So I have to pause you right here because what you're about to see is very shocking and disturbing, but no animals were harmed.
Hi.
Hi. I'm
Hi.
at work, so I have to have my mask on.
That's okay.
But here,
So when we were at the Venice Beach pier, we saw a guy that caught a pelican, and the kids had a lot of questions. Do we have a way of showing her the video?
Yes.
Can we show you the video real quick?
yeah, sure.
I don't know what kind of a time restriction are you on, or?
I'm fine.
Okay.
There's no sound to it because it was filmed in hyperlapse, but you'll get to see what we saw.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Okay.
The royal turn.
Yes, that was a beautiful shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, sure was.
So we were pretty much standing with our mouths gaping open because I had never seen this happen before. And the kids,
Very common on a fishing pier.
yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen, but there was just an article, I shared it on Facebook in Isla Mirada. They have a video of guys cutting I don't want to, be too graphic in front of the kids, but cutting the pelicans' pouches and pulling them up over their heads.
Oh my God.
I
try to
did
kill them.
see that. That's
It's
terrible.
horrible.
Yeah.
The pelican's hooked now. He's just being reeled in.
Okay. Poor fella.
Yeah. I remember just running around town in Key West with you, catching pelicans and
Very
doing.
common.
So
Oh.
when Yvonne asked if there was any way to talk to someone, I said, let me reach out to Becky.
So first, as this is going on, what somebody on this pier should have is one of those pier nets. It's like a hula hoop type net that you drop down.
Okay,
I know you're familiar with it. I mean, if you saw it, you know what I was talking about.
okay.
And that's
yeah.
not, he's not hurting the bird to hold it like that. He's actually doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But
There's Yvonne and I trying to step in.
yeah, you know, he's just, because they'll smack and smack and smack their beak because they're scared. Now
Right.
that's a baby, which you probably already know.
Right.
The ones that are all brown and have a white belly.
He was really soft, softer than I imagined, because I'd never
Oh.
held a pelican before.
Yeah. Now, did he swallow a fish they caught?
No, I think it was just a bait or it got caught. It was all right there in his mouth. I mean, it wasn't down the throat at all.
Oh, that's lucky too.
Yeah.
This was the part I didn't really care for.
Oh yeah. Let's get, yeah, because that's when their wings break.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's like closing the beak all the way.
And I'm with you, Yvonne. I have to turn my back and walk away.
Yep, that's exactly what I did.
I don't turn my back and walk away. I open my mouth more than I should.
Well, that's something
Well, he got his. He got whacked pretty good by the beak once you let him go.
Well, and hopefully he had a lot of bird lice on him and he'll be itching for the next couple hours too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, there he goes.
yeah, so that really didn't go bad, you know. The first good part of the story is that they didn't cut the line and just let the bird go off with a bunch of line.
Right.
Right.
That's the best part to
Yeah.
start with. Typically though, now is that a fishing pier you have to pay to go on?
It is not.
Because some of the ones here, like there's one in Juneau,
Okay.
it's a pay pier, and they
Okay.
have attendants there.
Okay.
So, you know, they can help. But there's a type of net that if you're fishing from a bridge or fishing, you know, or from a pier, that it's almost like it's a circle with a net in it, and it's got lines that go this way. So if you had a big fish and you're not sure if it's big enough to keep, you're not hauling it up all that way and risking losing it if you're thinking I'm a fisherman, or if you're care about the fish,
Right.
you're not making the fish be more, you know, stressed and possibly dead. And you just put it down. You only have to lift it up a little bit and get it in there. A little bit harder with a bird though, because
Right.
they have a 6-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
That might have helped or might not have helped.
Okay.
Okay.
But you know, so if it's not on a fishing pier, the really good thing about pelicans is if you just see a pelican that's got hooks in it, and you know, Eric, we've seen them where the whole sabiki rig has the bird like all tied up with all those little tiny hooks in it and all kinds of things, or just big treble hook lures in their back, a mess. And they can't even fly off.
Right.
So, you know, the great thing is they're always hungry, especially those babies. I've caught them with my car keys. I've caught them with a dollar bill. You know, you take something that's like money and you just go like this a couple times and they're like, and once you get good at it, when they snap, you put your thumb over the top beak, you know, and you have a little bit of a hold to get them a little better.
Right.
Then of course, you know, your safety is first. So you hold the beak. Now there's one thing you'll notice when you start to look well, and you guys have always seen seabirds. They don't have big nostrils like parrots and crows because they dive in salt water or any water, cormorants even in freshwater. So it's not to their advantage to have big nose holes, right?
Right.
So even when we dive, we can get water jammed up our nose. So they have these little slit nostrils. So if you keep their beak closed like this, they really can't breathe well. Plus, they have a survival instinct and a stress reaction to start vomiting, which if you've ever been really scared, you can get nauseous. And also, there's like a biological thing that if they throw up, whatever's trying to eat them might eat what they just threw up instead of eating them. So they have a chance to get away. So if you have the beak clamped closed, you know, they might choke and they can't breathe. So you want to keep it a little bit open. So that's like a first thing you could do. Then of course you got to fold those wings in. So do you guys know how that big giant bird is able to fly? Did you feel how heavy that bird was? Did you think it was going to be like a turkey? Like a 16-pound bird? No, right? It was like maybe 3 pounds.
Yeah. He
Bird
was
is
very
all air,
light.
Yeah.
right? Bird bones, and if you eat chicken, bird bones are hollow. Because if they had solid bones like we do, they'd never get off the ground.
Oh, wow.
So that makes their bones very fragile, not like us. So one, you know, hard crack on the edge of that, and their wings break. And that takes them from having just a hook to be removed to potentially not being, you know, have to be put to sleep. So that's important. Get their wings all collapsed up. So normally I just put them under my arm and hold on to the beak.
That's exactly what I did.
Somebody else do all the fancy work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The best cutters that I ever got were from Snap-on Tools.
Okay.
They make these little, really nice, small, sharp cutters that you just cut the barbs off. So you can just back the hooks out.
Okay.
Good idea.
That's a great idea. We should have one on the boat.
We'll definitely invest in that.
Right. I mean, they're perfect. Really nice. They were, you know, from Snap-on. I mean, sure, there's all kinds. I just happen to have, you know, some old funky pair here from Ace Hardware. But this is all you need. You know,
Yeah.
just sharp. So you can just cut off the barb. You just back the hooks out. Or if it's all the way through, cut off the ring and pull it the other way through. They're already stressed and damaged. So if it's just through their pouch, if it's, you know, through their skin or whatever, and they don't have broken bones, just take all that off and they're ready to go.
Okay.
You know, that's really good for them.
Good.
If they swallow something and you can't see it or get to it, well, it's gonna, I mean, if you're in the middle of nowhere that has no wildlife rescue,
Right.
not much you're gonna do other than cut as much of the line off as possible.
Okay.
You know, our intestines go like this,
Mhm.
and as the line goes through, if it, you know, even if the hook gets stuck in the stomach, the line's going to keep going. And as our intestines go along, like little snakes and worms, pushing our stuff out, what we ate, that line is going to stay tight and cut their intestines. So you want to cut as much line off as you can. If you can get the bird somewhere, then you leave a bunch of line, and then you somehow tape it somewhere on the bird, tie a little bit around the beak, not real tight, but so that the person has some trail to follow. Because there are, you know, people use it for fishing too, unhooking devices, and that's a little more complicated thing, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they need to have surgery.
Right.
Hope those hooks dissolve, but I have never seen that. I've never, you know, I've seen them have surgery, and
Mhm.
unfortunately they'll have multiple hooks in there that aren't even beginning to dissolve.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember going up to Tavernier with you. So
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, we
interesting.
did a lot of surgery on birds there. So you know, anything you can do to get those out of there. But the main thing is make sure they don't get broken in the process.
Mhm.
And then I did mention the lice.
Yep.
So here's you guys may know pelican life things already. When the babies leave the nest, they're bigger and heavier than their parents because their parents, unlike yours, teach them nothing. They say, thanks, get out. And so they have to learn to fish, fly and dive, and figure out how to maneuver that dinosaur weird body
Yes.
by watching other pelicans. So if it's windy, they don't know to go on, what's that non-windy side of an island? Leeward? Yeah, they don't know to go on that side of the island unless they see other pelicans diving on that side of the island.
Okay.
And so that's why they're heavier than their parents, because they have a little bit of a learning curve. So what they do, and they're very smart, otherwise they'd be extinct. But
Yeah.
what they do learn really quickly is, why work so hard when we got these people that are just dropping fish off of a pier?
Right.
Yeah.
They've got fish on the end of a string. They don't even see that string.
Yeah.
That's why birds hit windows, birds hit wires, birds hit windmills, towers, all that stuff, because their vision isn't like that.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times they're just flying along and they fly through the line
This one.
and it gets hung up on them. So, you know, sometimes it's, and they learn to be moochers really, really quickly. So it's unfortunate, you
Yeah.
know. And even good fishermen,
The easy ones.
right? Even good fishermen, they can't help it. You know,
Yeah.
the birds are just down there mooching. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, that leads us into a good question Lucas has.
Wanna ask
Right.
the question?
Number one.
Do seagulls need to be treated differently than pelicans when caught on a fishing line?
Could you hear that?
I did, and that's a good question. No, just on a smaller scale. They'll still bite you. Now, what do they all eat other than stealing your ice cream cone at Disney? They all eat what?
Fish.
Fish. Fish are slimy. So the edges of their beaks are very sharp. So when they grab a fish, it doesn't slime out so easily. You know, it's like kind of sticking your fingernails in something. They have this, so when they bite you, you know it. And so gulls really don't poke so much, but herons do. The birds with their eyes out here are doing this when they're fishing, and they're scooping down and getting the fish. The birds with their eyes right here, they stare and they stab. So the herons and egrets and the wading birds, which will still get in hooks and you'll still see them everywhere,
Mhm.
they're going to go straight for your eyeball.
Ooh.
So what I like to do, if I'm able to, and a lot of times if you're out anywhere, you've got a little towel to wipe your hands on, or somebody's got a jacket or a towel, just drop it over the bird's head and cover the eyes. It helps calm them. Plus they're not going to be looking, because they think like, what could possibly be going on in their mind? What do you want to do to that bird? Eat it.
Mhm.
That's built into them. I have to survive. This monster has grabbed me, taken me from my daily rounds, and now they're going to kill me. So they're fighting for their lives. It's not like a Lassie TV show where they understand we're trying to help them. So yes, you're going to fold the wings, you're going to hold them, hold the beak so you don't get poked, and then just undo what you have to undo.
Do your number 3.
What are the worst ways humans affect pelicans and how can we prevent it?
Well, I think in certain areas, people don't recognize that they have a purpose and they're useful and it's all part of our web of life. And they get easily annoyed by them because here I am trying to fish. My bait's expensive. It's my only day off. They're stealing my bait. I feel guilty. I'd really like to cut the line and hope it dies, because it stop annoying me. But I got all these people looking at me. So they're annoying. They can be annoying. So I think, fishing, tackle, gear, line is a big problem. I don't know, even before your mom and dad were born, there was a type of pesticide. You know what that is, right? To kill bugs. That was widely sprayed. And it wasn't until years later, and it was used for mosquitoes. It was called DDT. You can research it. It caused the eggshells to become thin, notably in pelicans and bald eagles.
Wow.
So bald eagles, everybody's like, ooh, bald eagles, protected, great, endangered species. Pelicans were on the endangered species list in Florida for quite some time because of that reason. So when they would go to sit and incubate their eggs, they'd smash because the eggshell was too thin. And they found that was because, you guys have been to the Florida Keys. It is a mosquito world down there, and it's constantly being sprayed. but until they realized that was the problem. So pollution, worldwide pollution is definitely a problem. Also, lack of nesting sites. They nest in those big groups. Do you know what that's called? A big group of birds that all nests on the islands, like in the backcountry in the Keys.
What's it called?
Yeah, I've been to one here.
Yeah, we've been on field trips to them.
Mercury. Is that what you said?
Mercury.
Yeah, right? Yeah, a lot of people just call it a bird island, but that the sciencey name is rookery. And so there'll be pelicans, there'll be frigate birds, right? And depending on where you are, the different kinds of egrets and herons, and sometimes they're all in there together. But more and more, those islands are disappearing, or the mangroves are dying, you know, that whole ecosystem of the mangroves, or there's just too many people and they don't leave those islands alone.
Yeah.
You know, that's really a challenge.
Yeah.
So, you know, from pollution to interference and then habitat loss, I think.
Yeah. You want to ask her?
Absolutely.
How do you help the birds get better after you've been caught on a fishing line?
Well, if it's just something like getting hooked, the same with you. You're healthy, you go out fishing for the day, you get a little cut or a hook. Once that boo-boo is okay, they're fine. You don't really have to take them somewhere to get antibiotics or anything like that, because in general, wild animals have a pretty good system of healing and taking care of themselves that way. Now, what if that pelican had a giant hole in its pouch? Because I've seen that. Because you know what people will do is they fillet the fish and then throw the carcasses. So it's this giant carcass of fish bones, and that will get stuck and it can actually cut their pouch. And so that's different. Those pelicans have to go somewhere and they get a surgery. I will tell you though, I did a whole experiment with them, and they'll heal on their own without surgery as long as they can eat. So if you see one that has a pouch that's torn, but they've learned to get the fish, you know, if it doesn't always fall out, then they'll be fine. It'll completely heal on their own. They're pretty amazing that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
I know, because we used to go to a lot of work to get them to the vet, and the vet would sew it, but then, you know, it wouldn't take because there's like 5 layers of skin there, and it's a muscly and stretchy, weird material, and then it would heal a little, and then it had to be sewn again, you know, because that's what you would think. It's a wound. You have to keep repairing it. Right. I said, you know, let's just see what happens. And I mean, I had one, the whole pouch was torn off of here. By the time I got it, the pouch had shrunken up, and it was a little pocket. So it was a bottom beak with nothing, with this little pocket. Hang on 1 second. Do you need me? Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you. And it was this little pocket. Well, the vet said, it doesn't fit. There's nothing I can do. So we kept her in a cage, you know, a big cage with a pool and all that. And she learned to take the fish and flick her head back enough so it would land in that little pocket, trial and error, over and over, till she learned to do it. And eventually, and it only took about 6 months to heal all the way up. It healed itself.
That's
Come here. This is my son, Kyle. That's Eric and Yvonne and their children. I knew Eric before he was your age. He was a whale rescue guy.
Oh, so you go back.
We go back before you. Yeah, that's right. They lived on Big Pine.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do they still live there?
Yeah. Where do you guys live now? On the West Coast?
Yeah, we're over in Sarasota.
They're gonna go on a they're gonna go live on a sailboat and sail around the world.
Oh wow.
With the
Good luck doing that. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
See ya. Have a good one.
Get back to work.
Thank you.
How old
Yeah,
is he
he
now?
works with me while he's going. What's that?
How old is he now?
21.
21.
You remember when he was a little tiny baby, right?
Yeah. Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
And you're only what, 25?
Yeah, that's right.
In our
At least my
teens.
brain thinks so.
Right. Well, we got one more question for you, and then we'll let you go.
No.
Go ahead.
How do you prevent birds from getting plastic soda can holders, like the 6-pack rings, from getting around their necks?
Well, make sure that you cut them or pull them apart before they go in the trash or in the recycle. That's the number one way. And then there are some companies now that are making biodegradable ones.
You should
But
support those.
Yeah.
I think it might be a beer company. I don't think it's soda yet.
Right.
But always cut them or pull them apart. But it can be anything. I've seen birds with just like a little one single plastic ring that was like in the edge of something. You know, that brand of yogurt called YoPlay, where it's thicker, wider at the top and narrower at the bottom.
Mhm.
And I've seen animals get their heads stuck in there. So just making sure the trash goes in the right place. But the very best thing is pre-cycling, which is what my kids learned when they had to go to the Environmental Study Center for camp for many years in a row, is they actually would get points when they brought their lunch to camp every day if there wasn't for the least amount of trash in their lunches. So they called it
Good challenge.
pre-cycling. Yep. So everything was clean, anything you could use. No Ziploc bags. You had to use, Tupperware things and anything that you could reuse and so it would all go home and not go into the trash stream. And that's, I think, a lesson for everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Can do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's always a little bit more we can do. And then it starts when you go to the store to look at the packaging and to request that the companies or your favorite brands stop packaging with so much useless stuff.
Yep.
So, but those are great questions. Really good questions. Good job.
We really appreciate you.
Hey,
taking some time.
anytime.
Well, the boardwalk's deserted and nobody's down by the shore. And the Ferris wheel isn't spinning around anymore. The heat waves and the crowds are all over news. But I've still got some sand in my shoes. Sand in my shoes. Sweet memories of the salty air. Sand in my shoes. Whoa, whoa. Sand that we used to share. Now we fell in love by the sea. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Comes back to me with the sand in my shoes. Comes back to me with the sand in my shoes. Comes back to me with the sand in my
If you like what you see, go ahead and smash the subscribe button.
No, don't smash it. Click it. And tap the notification bell so you get notified when we post our videos.
Oh yeah!
Yay!